Welcome to Aotearoa Legalised Cannabis Party's number 7 podcast. My name is Stephen Wilkinson, and tonight I thought I might dwell into that. I don't know if you remember, about 100 days after the election, there was a reading for the Misuse of Drugs Medicinal Cannabis Amendment Bill. You must remember that everyone had an opportunity to write a submission, turn up in person, do a submission, and a lot did. Actually, 1,786 people did. And so I don't know if you actually seen their report, which is going to all members of Parliament so they can have a second reading in the House. Like I said, I don't know if you've read it or not, so I thought tonight, because it's turned up on my screen, that we should go through it together. So what we have is the Misuse of Drugs Medicinal Cannabis Amendment Bill, July 2018. I think I might apologise beforehand. I might swear sometimes in this podcast. Hopefully I don't. If I do, I will apologise. But it's an interesting document to go through. So we'll go to the contents. They've got recommendations, purpose of the bill, submissions, amendments considered, conclusions, party views, New Zealand Labour Party view, New Zealand National Party view, and Appendix A and Appendix B. So let's have a go through and let's see what it's about. Okay, it starts off with a recommendation. The Health Committee has examined the Misuse of Drugs Medicinal Cannabis Amendment Bill. We have been unable to reach an agreement and therefore cannot recommend that the bill proceed. Do you get a feeling that Labour really didn't want to make this promise? Do you get a feeling that maybe it was just a vote catcher? Now they're trying to kill it. So they don't recommend that the bill proceed. But let's keep going. Purpose of the bill? Well, we know what the purpose of the bill is to fiddle with the Misuse of Drugs Act so they can give cannabis to a very tiny percentage of New Zealand population and also allow some of their good friends to produce product to be sold overseas. So I'm not going to go through all that. We'll go straight to the submission, shall we? Here, submissions. Here we go. It's on page 2. We received 1,786 written submissions on the bill. The majority of submitters indicated that they support allowing individuals to use cannabis for medicinal purposes. Only 1% of submitters did not support the intent of the bill. 1%. Well, I suppose that's good, isn't it? We heard 158 oral submissions in Wellington from a wide range of organisations and individuals. Although most submitters supported the bill, some expressed concerns. We outline these below. Oh, I wonder what concerns they have. Here we go. Submitters' concerns about the bill. Okay, number 1. Limiting the exception and statutory defence to the terminally ill. Okay, many submitters commented that the exception and statutory defence should be expanded to include not only people who are terminally ill, but also those with other medical conditions. The most commonly mentioned were chronic pain, cancer, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, and severe and debilitating illness. Submitters highlighted that individuals with these conditions should benefit from easier access to medicinal cannabis products. Oh, that sort of sounds good, doesn't it? Okay, submitters also commented that the provision be extended to caregivers, friends, whānau, suppliers, referred to as green fairies. Yay, the green fairies do an awesome job. Just straight up saying that now, say it every day of the week. Green fairies are just awesome. Okay, and growers. So I don't know how that one's going to work. Is it like, if you're a grower, you report to the police, say, hey, I'm a grower, but I'm growing for green fairies, or do you just use it as a defense if you get caught? Don't know, it's a bit weird. Okay, and growers. Where are we with the growers? Here we are. Submitters were concerned that limiting the exception and statutory defence would be a barrier to access for them, the terminally ill, who may need the assistance of others to source illicit cannabis for them. I think that's the problem. Don't you think that's the problem? That you still have to go to tinny houses, basically. You still have to do it illegally. A number of submitters felt that the terminally ill are vulnerable and should not receive a lower standard of care than other population groups. Ooh, this is getting interesting. I read on. They raised the concern that the use of cannabis without medical oversight could be harmful and believed that medicinal cannabis products should be regulated in the same way as other medicines. Okay, so what are they saying? They're saying if you're not using medicinal grade cannabis, it could be harmful. Okay. Let's keep on scrolling down with these concerns. Regulation of medicinal cannabis products. The provision of the bill to allow the setting of quality standards was supported by many submitters. 96% of those who commented on the provisions supported it. They submitted that minimum standards should be well regulated to ensure public safety and that advertising of products should be allowed. Yep, well, I suppose it's a good one. Definition of terminal illness. Wow, I don't know. I'm terminal ill. I think I've got another 25, maybe 30 years left. That's pretty terminal. I'm looking at the end of life. I should be able to have cannabis. So I don't know. What is the definition of terminally ill? The definition of terminally ill and the requirement for a medical professional to diagnose this condition also raised concern with a number of submitters. Many submitters stated that terminal illness... I'm sorry for laughing, but I don't know where this is going. Many submitters state that terminal illness is hard to define and that a person may live longer than a year after diagnosis of the terminal illness. Good point. So the doctor prescribes cannabis for you because you look like you're going to die within a year, and if you keep going because the cannabis kept you up and going or whatever it was, then it's illegal for you to have it. Okay. So yeah, I suppose you could define that one. Huh? Okay, descheduling of CBD. Ooh, what's happening with that? Okay. Although the majority of submitters supported the removal of CBD from the Act, some stated that a full risk assessment should be undertaken first. Sorry. I don't know. Maybe I've just been, too involved in this for too long. This is just silly. This is stupid. So we have to do testing, eh? Others said that provision did not go far enough and that other non-psychoactive cannabinoids should be removed as well. Oh, true. I mean, hey, Aotearoa legalized cannabis party. What do they say? Remove cannabis from the Misuse of Drugs Act. They don't need an amendment like this. They need just to remove it. This is the best night I've had. Normally I do these in the morning, and this is my first nighttime podcast, so it is the end of the day for me. Okay. Amendments considered. We considered, I love this, 7 possible amendments to this bill, mostly proposed by the Ministry of Health. Okay, so the government is wanting to make amendments to the bill. Yep. Okay. And the Ministry of Health, what do they know about cannabis? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, that's what they do. Okay, Ministry's recommendations. The Ministry's recommended 5 amendments to the bill. They aim to make the bill more consistent with the Principal Act. That's a good thing. Eliminate barriers to its practical implementation. Sounds like someone's going to make money. Enable easier navigation and understanding of the Act. Yeah. And reflect concerns raised by submitters. The following are the Ministry's proposed amendments. There's 5 of them. Here we go. And they're going to be damn good because the Ministry of Health, and they care about people, and they know what they're doing because they're the Ministry of Health. Here we go. Number 1. They would like moving the exception for the terminally ill to be able to possess and use cannabis to Section 8 of the Act. This would make the location of the exception consistent with other provisions set out in Section 8 of the Principal Act and make the Act easier to navigate and understand. Well, I suppose the police have to use the Act. Okay, number 2, Amendment Clause 7 of the bill. which would amend Section 14 of the Act to allow regulation to prescribe standards for all stages of cultivation, production, and manufacture, and criteria for when the regulations will apply. So what are they doing? They're taking the control of providing cannabis away from people like the green fairies and put it in the hands of their friends. So there you go. Yay. That's number 2. Okay, let's check number 3. Oh, they want to add a new clause to the Misuse of Drugs Act. Okay, adding a new clause to make it clear that regulations made under Section 37, bracket 1, bracket 0, are intended to override Section 20 of the Medicines Act 1981. This would allow the Director General of Health to communicate the availability of medicinal cannabis products that meet the scheme's quality standards to appropriate health professionals. Without this clause, the Medicines Act prevents the communication of product details on non-consented medications. That was number 3. Okay, number 4. They've got to start getting good soon. Excluding substances from the Act that are related to THC S3 in brackets. They are naturally found in cannabis, where there is evidence that they have little or no psychoactivity. The Act currently lists THCs as controlled drugs and captures a number of other cannabinoids as related substances. A number of these substances have little to no psychoactivity, and many have potential therapeutic benefits. Ooh. Cannabinoids, in general, are not specifically listed in the Act. The amendment would allow for control under the Act to be limited to substances related to THCs that are capable of inducing a psychoactive effect in individuals. So if it's in the plant, it doesn't get you stoned. They want it as medicine, but they don't want THC out there. Ooh, wonder why. Wonder why. Okay, number 5. Thank God. I mean, crap so far. Sorry for my French. It is late. Yeah, it is late. Revising the definition of CBD products, Clause 4 of the bill, to allow no more than 2% of the total CBDs in specified substances content to consist of THCs. Okay, so no more than 2% THC in whatever product they produce, and related psychoactive substances that are naturally found in cannabis. This would also allow CBD products to contain some non-psychoactive cannabinoids that are naturally found in cannabis. The revision would enable easier production of CBD products while minimizing the risk of harm from psychoactive components that are also naturally found in cannabis. So basically what their goal is to keep cannabis illegal, but allow people to use parts of the plant that aren't THC. Go the Department of Health. Here we go. Additional amendments considered. Ooh, there's got some other they should be considered. We also considered, they've considered some additional amendments. The defence and exception, there's 2 here, I think. The defence is an exception for the terminally ill to be able to possess and use cannabis be repealed 5 years after commencement. This would reflect the fact that the provision is intended as an interim and compassionate measure until a medicinal cannabis scheme is established and quality product is more readily available. So they can use cannabis now, but after 5 years of when it was first claimed, they aren't allowed to anymore, because by then there should be some really nice top shelf products out there for them to save up for. Cool. Number 2, that a new clause be added limiting the granting of licenses for cultivating, manufacturing, importing or supplying cannabis products to 2 purposes: commercial activity or for research or study. This would eliminate the risk of non-commercial growing operations and make it easier to monitor production and compliance with quality standards. So if you're a green fairy, not anymore. if this comes through, if this came through, no, you would be just a criminal. Ooh, conclusion. Wow, that wasn't much. Oh, I suppose they made this statement. They don't recommend it going forward. Let's ditch this bill because it's just we don't want to deal with it. Conclusion. We heard diverse We heard diverse perspectives in the course of considering this bill. The polarity of the views and the complexity of the issues made it impossible for us to reach a united stance. We are grateful to all submitters for their contributions. The open and honest accounts were valuable to our consideration, and we will share what we have learned with our colleagues in the House. Or will you just give them this, what I'm reading? Are you going to sit down around a few pints at Bellamy's and talk about the good things that cannabis can do? Yeah, no. Okay, here we go. The party's view. Okay, New Zealand Labor Party's view. Okay, and I'll have to excuse this because we have to realise that at the moment, Labor is this new, open, liberal thing that it is at the moment. So everything is really touchy and feely at the moment. So here we go. Expect some touchy and feely. Labor Party members of the Health Committee believe that making medicinal cannabis more readily available will help relieve the suffering of people with terminal conditions, as well as improving access to those or for those who have been prescribed it by their doctor for the treatment of other medical conditions. They haven't talked about what other conditions, have they? Many New Zealanders will have watched a loved one struggle with the terminal illness or condition. Medicinal cannabis gives them another option to find relief and make the most of time left with them. The evidence says, if you're going to use cannabis when it comes to a terminal illness like cancer, you use cannabis at the beginning of the process, not the end. Okay, fair enough, at the end, it's a good painkiller. It'll make the person more coherent, so their family at least have some real contact with them, which they can't do when they're out on morphine, so that's good for that. But cannabis is good for terminal illnesses at the beginning of the treatment, not the end. The research is out there, the studies have been done, and the evidence has come back. But you can see where they're trying to lead us, hey? So where was I? I should have used my pointer. Okay, here we are. There is an increased evidence to support the use of medicinal cannabis. Late last year, the World Health Organization noted that cannabinoid, CBD, might have therapeutical value and did not carry any additional risk. Labor members support key provisions in the Misuse of Drugs Medicinal Cannabis Amendment Bill as part of establishing a medicinal cannabis scheme to increase the supply of quality medicinal cannabis products. And you know why they say that? Because it's their mates that have the licenses to grow up cannabis for a product for overseas market. To increase the supply of quality of medicinal cannabis products, and we know where they're going to come from. Okay, another one, state their view. Providing an exception to the offence and defence to the charge of possessing and using illicit cannabis for people who have a terminal illness. That's a bit better. A medicinal cannabis scheme will take time to develop and implement. We know that some people with a terminal illness already use illicit cannabis for medicinal purposes. Allowing them to use cannabis without the fear of criminal conviction is a compassionate measure where concerns around product safety, quality, efficiency, and long-term risk are different. We don't want you getting the shit from the guy down the road who's got a little greenhouse in his backyard. We want you buying the stuff from our mates. Cool. Go Labor. Okay, we've got another one. Allowing the government to make regulations to set quality standards for medicinal cannabis products. Yay! Good on them. That's what we want. Here we go. What am I going to say about that? The majority of products likely to be available as part of a medicinal cannabis scheme will be unconsented. We want to ensure that products on the market are made to a standard that allows them to be prescribed, consumed with confidence. Although a medicinal cannabis scheme can be established, without this provision, the ability to regulate products within the scheme is contingent on it. Yep, that's it. The overall standards for medicinal cannabis products is not expected to match that of pharmaceutical-grade products. E.g., manufacturers will not be required to provide clinical trial data. And we know why, don't we? Because if they did the trials and took the data, you would find all the people that were using the pharmaceutical product would be asking their doctors for them to change. That's why they'd have to do it. Standards will, however, cover the manufacturing process and end product quality and will apply to all products manufactured domestically and imported. Wow, good on them. Good on them. Oh, no, so more. The setting of quality standards will be led by the Ministry of Health, of course, because they know about cannabis, and will be informed by approaches taken in other jurisdictions, expert technical advice, I wonder who that'll be, and stakeholders. I wonder who that'll be. Oh, cool. Oh, look, here's something this is like, what they're doing, it seems like when I'm reading this, this doesn't help anybody as far as I can tell. As far as I can tell, this only helps their mates with the licenses to grow the product, to make it easier for them, so they don't get in trouble. I haven't yet read anything that helps you or me or anybody who needs cannabis or would like to see if cannabis is right for them. Nothing here yet. Nothing. Yay, this is Labour's. I wonder what Nationals is going to be like. I haven't actually read Nationals yet. So, here we go. Removing cannabinoids from the Misuse of Drugs Act. That's CBD. Okay. The Expert Advisory Committee on Drugs. Man, wouldn't you like to go to one of their meetings? Oh, could you please pass the quaaludes over? Yeah, you know. Who's got the pee pipe? I like the Expert Advisory Committee of Drugs advised that CBD has potential therapeutic value and little or no psychoactive properties. It supported descheduling CBD as a controlled drug. Controlled drug. Get that from the pharmacy. Could I please have your address? Thank you all. Naturally derived CBD products from cannabis will probably contain small amounts of other cannabinoids, including THC, which at low levels is unlikely to have a psychoactive effect. The EACD, which I like to use their full name, the Expert Advisory Committee on Drugs, supported an allowance of 2% of other cannabinoids found in cannabis for CBD products, as aligned with the Australian scheduling. I don't know if you can remember, what's his name? Somebody way back in the old days. Peter Dunn. I remember when Peter Dunn was asked on an interview about medicinal cannabis and what sort of model we should go with. And he said we will wait and see what Australia does, and we'll just jump on the coattails of their model. So there you are. As long as it's all aligned with Australian scheduling, we're on board. Okay, regulations were amended last year, were they? To remove a number of controlled drug restrictions for the import and prescribing of CBD products. That's good to know. But it was not possible to remove all controlled drug restrictions for CBDs by regulations. This bill will declassify CBD and CBD products with less than 2% of other cannabinoids. There you go. Labor members also support Ministry of Health recommendations for the Misuse of Drugs Medicinal Cannabis Amendment Bill. Okay, so what was that? Just going back up here. Well, this was New Zealand Labor Party's view. Okay, so now we're looking at the Labor members supporting the bill. And here they have a list of their stuff, and I shall read them. Here we go. Number 1. Moving the exception for the terminally ill to be able to possess and use cannabis to another section of the Act. The proposed exception will then be located alongside existing exceptions exemptions, sorry, is what I'm really saying, for possession and use, which has no effect on policy but will make the legislation easier to navigate and understand. Oh, thank God for that. That would be nice. Thank you. Okay, number 2, allowing regulations to set standards for all stages of production, specifically what standards can be set and when they apply are required, and require the Director General of Health to publish these standards. Setting precise and comprehensive quality standards will ensure products are well regulated. Well, that sounds like it's all in control, doesn't it? Which has implications for public safety, quality assurance, and prescriber and user confidence. Publishing quality standards this way, rather than in regulations, will allow the regulators to respond to changes in technology and an evolving safety profile and keep pace with an emerging industry. Because yes, that's it, fellas, folks, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, whoever's listening and watching to this, this is what it is. It's an emerging industry. And New Zealand, aka the Labour Party, is looking to see how they can cash in on this industry without actually legalizing cannabis. They want to make a product here good enough to sell in Europe, good enough to sell in Canada, good enough to sell in the States, good enough to sell in the UK, and here too, for the terminally ill folk, of course. So this is what it's about. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Seriously, there's only the simplest way. The simplest way, and no one will even talk about it because I don't know. I don't know why. Because it's stupid. Because they go, oh, it's too simple. The simplest way is regulate cannabis, remove it from the Misuse of Drugs Act. Okay, and I'm keeping on. Here we go. Emerging industry. We've done that one. Allowing regulations to ensure the sharing of information about quality medicinal cannabis products availability among appropriate health professionals. So what's this? This is sending advertising to doctors. This is what this is about. So that's what we got. Very limited, e.g. letting doctors know which products meet quality standards. Ooh, our friends' company, not their competitors. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit excited about this. This is pretty cool, hey? It's just so blatantly bullshit, artists. Okay, e.g. letting doctors know which products meet quality standards will help the scheme fulfill its purpose of enhancing access to quality medicinal cannabis products. We do not support broadening advertising provisions further, as that could undermine the medicines framework. Permissions to advertise incentives manufacturers. Permission to advertise incentives manufacturers to follow the consented medicines pathway. Well, I don't know that. Maybe I even mispronounced words in that one. I don't know what that meant. But I mean, I look at it like this. Okay, they send a little piece of paper that goes around to all the doctors with a list of a couple of names of CBD products. Mary Jane down the road and Joe Doe up the street, go see the doctor. I want CBD. CBD's going to make me better. I want to try CBD. And he goes, well, okay, sure, okay, CBD. Oh, you can hear, and he just prescribes you what he sees in front of him. That's it. So they're just setting it up. They're setting it up so everything runs smoothly for this company that's growing pot down south. It's just stupid. And it's so blatant. I just hope that when we have the referendum, the question is simple. Should we remove cannabis from the Misuse of Drugs Act and regulate it? Full stop. Yes, we should. Removing CBD and other non-psychoactive components of cannabis from the Act. THC, naturally found in cannabis, are currently listed as a controlled drug. But so are a number of substances that have similar structures or can be easily converted to them. Some substances that are captured as controlled drugs because they are related to THCs will have little to no psychoactivity and may have therapeutic benefits. Ooh. This recommendation means CBD. CBD what? will no longer be a controlled drug, so a separate provision to schedule CBD is no longer required. Number whatever it was. The last one. No, yep. Revising the definition of CBD products to limit the concentration of psychoactive substances naturally found in cannabis rather than in broad cannabinoids and the products to 2%. CBD products must not contain more than 2% of other cannabinoids, despite some cannabinoids having little to no psychoactivity. We agree that the 2% allowance in CBD products should only apply to THCs and their psychoactive related substances naturally found in cannabis. This means a much smaller but a much more appropriate set of substances will be controlled in CBD products. These recommendations are consistent with the policy intent and approach based on the principles of fairness, quality, safety and compassion. They also respond to current barriers to access whilst acknowledging that medicinal cannabis can mean different things. Some key topics from submissions of relevance to the bill do not feature in our recommendations. We'll flick through, not even going to go through that. You can get this online, or there's a link on our Facebook page to this. Okay, New Zealand National Party view. Shall we have a look and see what these boys have to say, and girls? The National Party supported the Misuse of Drugs Medicinal Cannabis Amendment Act at the first reading because, notwithstanding our concerns that the bill was not well worded, it supports the goal of creating a framework where terminally and chronically ill New Zealanders could access medicinal cannabis products for therapeutical use. The licensing regime should be clearly defined in the bill. It isn't, and there should be better parliamentary oversight of that regime before it is introduced. There is no provision to do so. So we're hearing, because didn't National say they're going to put forward their own? Okay, we heard from the public that the medicinal community, and the medicinal community, that there may be a place for medicinal cannabis, and we support this being added to the tool set that medical practitioners can utilise. We have heard that current pricing and availability are restrictive, and we seek to improve the availability and affordability of medicinal cannabis for clinical indications. Oh, that's so nice. And the kind that promising it's going to be cheap. Underpinning medicinal cannabis, there needs to be a robust regulatory framework for the pathway from cultivation to dispensing. These details and associated parliamentary on-sites are absent from this bill. What's going to happen? Who knows? Addressing the three main aims to the bill, we are supportive of improved access to cannabinoid, which we are told has negligible psychoactive properties. They've been told that. They don't know it, they've just been told that. Some of them might believe that it's a lie. We understand the goals of the terminal exemption and statutory defence for terminal patients, but we believe there is too much uncertainty around the logistics of supply. We are uncomfortable with the exercise of terminal exemption and the statutory defence requiring the legal act of supplying cannabis to be committed. The bill seeks blanket regulation, making authority for a full medicinal cannabis scheme for which no details have been presented. We believe issues such as medicinal cannabis manufacture, eligibility, dispensing, monitoring, and reporting are important and are unable to support a bill that does not submit details of such a scheme to public and parliamentary scrutiny. So what do they want? They want in the bill. Well, that's it. That's the bill. That's the time. So I've been talking for 33 minutes. And, yep, it is nighttime. So, all we have is the referendum. And what we have to do is we have to get cannabis out of the Misuse of Drugs Act. Because once that happens, medicinal cannabis happens. Once that happens, people who just like to have a smoke at home for no reason except to relax are not criminals. People who want to produce cannabis to sell to a market, a local market, are able to. This puts new tax into the economy. It makes a happier country. Why are we doing it? I don't know. Well, I know why we should be doing it. I don't know why we're not doing it. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. That was podcast number 7. And you enjoy your weekend that's coming up, and have a lovely day.